So welcome everybody. I'm Dan Ojakanovich. I'm a Director of Operations at Christ the Redeemer Anglican Church in Danvers. Blessed and fortunate to have here with me today, Julie Smale and Christina Comparato, who are taking care of our heroes on the front lines here in the North Shore, and they're going to tell you more about that.
Hi everybody, I'm Julie Smale and I'm an internal medicine doctor here on the North Shore, and I'm married to David Smale, who is a surgeon at Beverly Hospital. And as the coronavirus pandemic started escalating, I got together with my family and we were really concerned about the healthcare workers and everyone who was coming into the hospital to try to take care of these critically ill people. So we started Feed the Frontlines North Shore, which has been an incredibly amazing, rewarding program for us, where we have been able to bring in many meals for people who are leaving the safety of their home to take care of critically ill people. And I think one of the challenges we're now facing is folks in the community are excited to get back to their normalcy, but the situation in the hospital is far from normal. And I think the emotional hardship that goes along with day in and day out taking care of patients that are so ill and many of whom are dying is emotionally extremely challenging and draining. And we are seeing, a lot of caregivers experiencing anxiety and fear and emotions that they have never experienced before. And we are trying to set up good behavioral health services to help with these types of challenges. So we appreciate all the support of the community coming forward to help at this challenging time.
Thanks a lot, Julie. That's great. And that puts a point on it. I think, Christina, you had shared a story with me of, I think when I had first called you back a couple weeks ago, that you had just come away from delivering some meals and had seen some of that pain and anguish right up front, and had gotten some follow-up calls from that you told me about. Can you share a little bit about that?
We were dropping off a meal at one of the local hospitals, and a woman came out of the emergency room. She had been working in there, and we were delivering cookies and chocolate milks at the time on the corner right outside of the emergency room. And she came out and she was very emotional, distraught, saying that there had just been a big fight in the emergency room. There were a few people that had to be escorted out, that the nerves were extremely high in there. And I found it very unnerving. She was getting too close to me. She had a mask on, but the person that was with her didn't. So it was just a sign of the times. And then another time, Dano, when you called me, I had gotten a call from a woman who is a secretary in one of the units of another local hospital where there were COVID patients. It was an ICU unit. And she was telling me a story in tears, thanking us for the meal that she had just received from Grassy Roots, one of the local restaurants. And she wanted to tell me about an experience she had the night before, making a connection between a very sick person on a ventilator and a family member on the phone. So it just was very real to me that these things are happening in the hospitals where the families are not in there and the employees in there are trying their best to help. But she said that she's extremely drained and that there's a lot of chaos in there with the emotions of not only just the nurses, but those that are working in the secretary area, transport, maintenance. They're all away from the safety of their homes and having a hard time.
Can't imagine. We have a couple people on front lines from our church, so we have a little bit of familiarity with how they're struggling. But there's a lot of people out there that are struggling. So if you think about a church and what the needs are, how we might be able to help, or what we might be able to do to serve in the community through what you all are doing to come alongside what you're doing.
Julie, why don't I let you answer this? I just wanted to say one thing. We were thinking from the beginning that this could be a month-long endeavor, maybe 2 months, and it's become clear that we need to keep serving the meals and keep supporting the healthcare workers. So we will do that. Jay, why don't you answer that question?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I just to add on to what you said, I mean, the need continues. So our hope is that we can keep doing this until we run out of funds. So yes, obviously, helping to raise funds is always a good thing. So we can continue to show our support and appreciation through these gifts of food. And I think I love that you brought up the encouraging words, because those are incredibly meaningful. And one thing that kind of distinguished our group from a lot of the other amazing groups that are doing some, or were doing some similar things to this, was that we, each visit that we brought food, we always brought words of thanks as well. So it started out with just our family members for the first couple of deliveries. And we had relatives from all over the country, from young kids up to 80 years old, who wrote notes of appreciation. And they were really touching and emotional and wonderful. And when oh yeah, she's showing some of them there. So what we heard back, the food, we heard from people, oh, the food's amazing. We're so glad we're not being forgotten. Thanks for appreciating us. But oh my gosh, those notes were so touching. And people told us that they were crying reading them. And so we've continued doing that. And so words of encouragement are hugely appreciated. My husband's a surgeon, and so most of the time his patients come in, he takes them to the operating room, and they do beautifully, and they go home. And so, now he's working in the ICU, where it's the complete opposite of that, where you're taking care of a problem you don't understand, and you're often not able to help them. So that is really challenging for a physician. It's emotionally very draining. Yeah. And I think when the family members aren't there to be talking with the family members and letting them talk to their loved one, it's another burden, because you really want to replace the family and give the support that the family would give. And when they're not with their loved ones, when they're dying, it's very sad and challenging. And I also loved another thing that was mentioned, which was, emotional support, where someone could call the parish and get words of support. A lot of my patients particularly are using prayer as a way of healing, and helping them bring peace and guidance. And so I think we really do value that as well.
Just the other side of this is all the restaurants that have been decimated by this crisis, that this is a means of providing livelihoods for people.
Yeah, it's been a particularly meaningful part of this whole endeavor, is helping the restaurants. And we've partnered now with about 15 local restaurants on the North Shore. And it feels so great to help them. And they really do need the business, and it makes them feel so good to help. They, like all of us, want to find ways of helping. So it feels great.
So encouraging, so inspiring what you all are doing, and you're volunteering, and your families are volunteering. This is just out of the goodness of your hearts. It's just amazing and awesome. And so, yeah, psyched to be here on the phone with you, and psyched to be able to share your story with some other folks here around the North Shore, and hope we'll be able to drum up some support. And I know our church is going to support what you're doing, and we'll try to encourage others to join in too.
Thank you so much. It means more than you can know.
Vice versa. Thanks a lot.